welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming and joining and listening to us. We are the Neighborhood Spotlight, where we are highlighting and lifting up some amazing leaders and voices and organizations that are making really positive, excellent changes in our neighborhood. I'm so excited to have Tiffany here today. Tiffany, do you want to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Santana. I'm the executive director at Bethany House of Northern Virginia.
Great. Tiffany, we are so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So the Bethany House, a fantastic, amazing organization. Can you share a little bit about your mission and values as a nonprofit here in the neighborhood?
Absolutely. Bethany House of Northern Virginia is a 45-year-old Christian ministry. It was founded by a fantastic woman named Doris Ward, and she was a powerhouse of a woman who was all about serving God and serving his people. She did all kinds of good things in the community. She opened one of the first homeless shelters for women in DC. She ran Meals on Wheels program. She had a tutoring program. She just was the kind of woman that really met the needs and was really about being the hands and feet of Jesus. And she noticed that there was a need that was unmet, and that was taking care of women who were abused.
Yeah.
In 1979, when Bethany House was founded, there was nothing like this. We weren't talking about domestic violence. That wasn't a term that was used back then. It was battered women. And you rarely talked about that because it was a family matter and it was really no one's business.
Yeah.
And it was a burden for her. And so she started taking women into her own home, from what I understand, first, and then started Bethany House. And the house that we have now is the original house that she had. And she really was visionary in how she ran the organization. She started a lot of the same types of programming as what we do today. But we really tried to run after her same model of really caring for people from the heart of Jesus and making sure that they're cared for well, and making sure that we not only just provide a safe place for them, but really help them to rebuild their lives.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so, like, at the center of what you do is like the safe shelter program. And so, can you say a little bit about how that supports women and children impacted by domestic violence?
Yes, our residential program is really the heartbeat of what we do. Our program is a little bit different from most shelters. Most shelters are 30-day emergency shelters, and they're predominantly government run by local governments, which is great because those facilities get women out of harm's way quickly,
Hmm.
sometimes 24 hours in the middle of the night when they need to go. And that's a fantastic service, but women can only stay there for 30 days, sometimes 45. And that's not a lot of time to get your life back together after you've made the dramatic step of leaving everything that you know.
Yeah.
So at Bethany House, women stay with us in our secure, safe houses for 4 to 6 months. And so during that time, women are able to decompress. That first 30 days is really time to just decompress and realize that they're okay and actually get some rest. And then we take the rest of those months to actually help them work through some of the trauma and start to rebuild what will be their new life,
Yeah.
free from abuse.
Wow. So can you maybe talk a little bit about the steps that maybe one of your clients goes through and maybe the care that you provide along the way?
Yes, yes. This is one of my favorite things to talk
Nice.
about with
Okay.
Bethany House because it is one thing that really distinguishes us from other organizations. And one thing that we get to do because we're privately funded that a lot of organizations don't get to do. When women come to us, they are assigned a case manager, and that case manager stays with her during her stay. And they develop what's called an individualized service plan, ISP. And that service plan really is a roadmap for her that she develops with her goals and her benchmarks for what she wants her life to look like over the next 4 months, over the next 6 months, over the next year, over the next 2 years. And what her case manager will help her do is connect her with resources and services to help her meet those goals and benchmarks. Um, Through that time that she is in safe house, she also is provided weekly individual and group counseling to help her to work through some of the trauma that she's experienced. And we also provide what's called life advancement programming. And life advancement programming is almost anything that a woman might need to help her to start rebuilding her life. So we have financial literacy, we have parenting classes,
Mm.
we have fitness, health, and wellness classes. We also provide professional development, personal development, all kinds of programming that women can take, self-confidence classes, Bible study, spiritual empowerment classes, things that women need to begin to reimagine what their life can be, things that help women to heal from what they used to be, things that help women to reframe their thinking and build coping skills and new relationships, but also very practical things. Some women have never had control over their finances. So opening a bank account,
Mm.
how do you do that? So we have programs that help women open a bank account, manage their finances, interview for a job, get a job. But we also help with very practical needs um, like gift cards for grocery shopping
Sure.
and
Yeah.
buying clothes and things like that. So it's a very comprehensive program that really focuses on moving a woman from being completely dependent to living an independent life.
Wow. And then could you add a little bit more into the role that you all play in the children's lives when they come and part of the transition process as well?
Absolutely. We are very fortunate to be based in Fairfax County. Fairfax County works with us tremendously.
Nice.
So children get placed in school very quickly if they're of school age. If not, we work with county to provide childcare assistance to the moms if they need it. One of the things that's really excellent about Fairfax County when the children go to school is once they transition out of the safe house into permanent housing, if that housing is outside of the district where the safe house is located, the children don't have to leave the original school that they were in.
Oh, that's
They can
great.
stay in that school to stay in stability so that they don't have to make yet another transition. So that's one way that they work with us. Internally, we have children's programs. So we have volunteers that come in and provide children's programming. That's some fun, but some that helps them to also cope with their new environment, that helps them to cope with some of the things that they may have seen and experienced through their trauma. They also learn new socialization skills. They learn new coping skills as well. Part of what they also learn is when they're in the house with other people, other children, they begin to learn new family dynamics, which is really cool. Some of that happens very organically,
Yeah.
but some of that happens also in a more controlled way where kids learn how to share and they learn how to deal with their emotions and they learn how to interact with others. So it's a really neat environment to watch kids come in, sometimes really withdrawn or having some emotional outbursts and different ways that they have coped previously based on what they've experienced, and then watch them grow over time after being in the environment.
Yeah, that's great. You're almost creating a new healthy environment for them to grow up into while they're with you. Now, any kind of domestic violent situation can be incredibly traumatic to the individual and the family. So, can you go down a little bit more and say, like, how does your organization help women or maybe even children deal with trauma or have some recovery from the traumatic experience?
Absolutely. So, again, we provide counseling, individual and group counseling. Our individual counseling, sometimes most of the time is in house. There are often times where women might need more specialized care, and those women will refer out to specialists. We want to make sure that each woman has her specific needs met because women go through different types of trauma and they have come to their abuse already with different experiences. And so we want to make sure that we attend to their very specific needs. So we make sure that they're taken care of in-house, but we also make sure that if women have more specific needs, whether that's specific clinical mental health services that they need, some women have substance abuse histories, which is common in domestic violence. we make sure that we refer them out to clinical specialists who can help them in their more specific ways. Our groups are typically run by women, students, and sometimes male students who come from master's degree programs in psychology and social work and criminal justice, who used evidence based um, programming to make sure that women are working through their trauma, making sure that they're getting the skills that they need to be able to build relationship skills, grow in their relational intelligence, but also skills to work through traumatic experiences they've had before, so that as they move into their new lives, new relationships, not just romantic relationships, but also friendship relationships, that they have the skills and the tools and even the self-worth and self-value that they need to be able to have healthier relationships.
Great. Excellent. So it sounds like this amazing, all inclusive environment to bring healing to the individual, maybe even potential family. So, in doing that, and you guys have had so many success stories, like what does the care look like after they are out of the program or out of the time and space that they're with you? Like, do you have any kind of continuing care, or do you have like a continued relationship, like a check-in process, or what does that look like?
Yes, one of my favorite elements of our program is called aftercare. So once women transition out of the safe house and into permanent housing, they have the option to join our 2 year aftercare program. So for 2 years after leaving the safe house, they can continue to receive counseling. They can continue to receive life advancement program. They can continue to receive financial assistance if women run into a situation where they're doing really well and whoops, my car um, breaks down and I need some extra financial assistance. They can come to us and we can give them support in that way. They can continue to visit our pantry for household goods and personal items. We want to take down the barriers that would keep women from moving forward. And very often, a lack of support system coupled with having financial needs are things that set women back. And so, if we can provide that safety net through continued support, whether that is personal support or whether that is programming or continued financial support as needed, then those are the things that have women continue to move forward in a positive way. And what we've discovered with aftercare is that women have around a 95% success rate and not going back into abusive relationships. So that's something that we're really proud of with this program.
Yeah. It's just kind of amazing to think about it as like the emergency shelters that have that 30-day place to go that's safe. That's great. But then if there wasn't a place like Bethany House that offers, from just as a review, like 2.5 years of care for the individual to set them up and to get them on their feet, like that post-traumatic experience would be so much different if Bethany House wasn't a part of their lives.
Absolutely. And very often, the women who are in the 30-day shelters, once they're finished, very often they come to us. We're their next step.
Yeah.
And so we do partner with those local 30-day shelters to provide them continued support as well.
Yeah.
So we're happy to be there to help them to continue on their journeys as well.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking like if Bethany House didn't exist, like that 30 days and they'd be right back into life that's completely different and changed, but not have that level of care and support and network that you all provide, which is such an amazing resource. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how do you engage with your local community, local safety officers, other either organizations or individuals that help support Bethany House? Like, what's your network and your community look like?
We would not be able to do a fraction of the work that we do without community support, community partners. And over the last year and a half or so, we have made a concerted effort even to provide more services to the community. We were very committed to, our vision is to eliminate domestic violence one family at a time. And we felt really strongly that we can't do that as effectively if we're only focused on the people that we serve in the safe house and in our aftercare. So we wanted to make sure that we did more outward facing to the community. So one thing that we've done is we've opened up community support groups that are open to the public.
Mm.
And what we've discovered is that we've been able to serve women who are still in abusive situations that need support and education to make the decisions to come out. And that was something that we didn't anticipate. We anticipated that people would come to us who didn't necessarily need shelter, but had come out of abusive relationships. So that was an awesome gift that we discovered, that we were really helping women who were in it and needed to come out. So we're providing now community support groups and community counseling, which has opened us also to be able to support men who are going through abusive relationships.
Mm.
And that's a hugely underserved population. And so we're excited to be able to do that work as well. We work with churches. Churches have been a tremendous support for us. They have been a support for us financially, but churches also provide space for us to do programming. Churches partner with us in helping us to get items that we need for our pantry and support us in coming to events and hosting events for us and just praying for us. Churches they have us on their list, and I tell you, we feel the prayers, and prayer is effective. So our church partners are great. Our community business partners are fantastic. They hold events for us as well. They provide drives for us as well for items. They often come in, and our church partners also have members that come in and teach some of those life advancement program classes and provide their time to teach women how to do resumes and how to do even how to dress for interviews and things like that. So our community provides fantastic support. They do childcare, they do all kinds of things. We work with local law enforcement in a couple of different ways. One of the things that we've been able to do is we've been able to partner with the domestic violence liaisons in each locality. So we have a domestic violence liaison in Fairfax, in Prince William, in Loudoun, Alexandria, and Arlington. So we know who our person is in each police department.
Yeah.
And we're learning how to work together. Domestic violence, oddly enough, is a newer concept to law enforcement that they're just really starting to deal with and wrestle with. And so we're teaching a lot. We're giving a lot of education, and we're learning a lot about how they operate. So those lines of communication have been open tremendously over the past couple of years, and we're excited about that. And our local government is fantastic. Our Fairfax County Board of Supervisors has been super supportive of us. They are really helpful in getting the word out about what we need. They support us at every level by putting things on their websites about what we need and letting people know that we're here and that we're here for support. So our community just helps us in all kinds of ways, and we're really excited to do more in the community. We also go out to the community and educate. So people call us in to do workshops, they call us in to do talks. We're available for that in the community to help people learn about domestic violence. Not only that, we have a really talented staff. So we teach all kinds of things. We teach communication skills, we teach writing, we
Yeah.
teach trauma informed workplace. So we do a lot because we want to give back to the community that supports us. And so if we have gifts, we have talents, we have abilities that we can offer back to our community, we do that as well. We're committed to that.
Yeah. It sounds like both you and the community are benefiting from the relationship, which is ideal.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So I can tell, like, just from speaking with you and sharing your love for the work that you do. Do you have any particular success stories, or like maybe one or two that come to mind that you could share with everybody to just kind of get a little more of a intimate idea of how how you and the Bethany House do such a great job of carrying somebody from point A to point B?
Yes, we have a lot. A couple that come to mind. We have one mom that came to us, and when she came to us, she has two small kids, and she came to us under really scary circumstances. Her husband even tried to find her
Mm,
afterwards, located our office, but didn't know that she was there. We certainly don't tell people that we even know a person exists. But she was very withdrawn, very unsure of herself, lacked confidence, didn't think she was much of a person, certainly didn't think she could make it on her own. And she came into the safe house. She began to bond with the other women. She threw herself into all the programming, all the counseling, really made the most of the program, began to work. She hadn't really worked before, she wasn't allowed to.
oh, wow.
So, began to work, began to take some classes, educational classes outside of Bethany House, moved relatively quickly in about 4 months into her own place, put her kids in school. They're doing great. She's moved up twice in her job. She's been promoted twice. She continues to be in our aftercare. She continues to contribute. She actually is moving into more of a mentor to some of the other women who are coming in and encouraging them and supporting them. And her whole being has just changed. She's just so much more of a confident woman. She is beginning to really embrace who she is and celebrate who she is. You don't hear any more of the I can, or I don't think I can, or I could never. You hear the I'm so glad I did and I'm so proud of myself for, and you can too. And it's those kinds of things, watching transformations happen when people come in one way and they come in and leave a completely different way. You can never get tired of that. And it happens on small scales, it happens on huge scales. We get to watch it all the time, but people never leave the same way that they do coming in. And that's the joy of doing this kind of work.
Yeah. Sounds like an even healthier expression of self. Uh,
Yes.
that's so beautiful.
Yes.
Awesome. So hopefully there's a bunch of people listening. This might be their first exposure to Bethany House, and you've already listed of so many ways that you are engaged in the community, or volunteers are working at the Bethany House or programming through the Bethany House. But maybe you could share some kind of light, easy entry ways to get involved, and that could be either with monetary contributions, which I'm sure you'd love to take, but also some ways that people from the community can help continue to do the great work that you all are doing.
Absolutely. So, of course, monetary donations are always super helpful. Becoming a monthly donor is one of the best ways to support us. I always give the analogy of being a server. I was a server and a bartender in college. That's how I made my way through college. And some days you know what you're going to get, and some days you don't. And nonprofit is like that. Church is like that too. Ministry is like that too. Some days you know what you're going to get, some days you don't, and that's a little nerve wracking. But if you know what your monthly donors are going to give, you have a little bit more stability, and you know what programs you can engage in, and you know what's coming in. And so that's one of the best ways to help monetarily, is to become what we call a heartbeat partner. But as far as volunteering is concerned, almost anything you can think of is something that we can use. We need people in our office to help us answer phones and
Mm,
to help us do things like organize our pantry and stuff envelopes and make sure that our Amazon orders get logged and put away, things like that, that are really simple things that people can do. Anyone can do. Teenagers can do that. Stay at home moms can do that. People who don't have a lot of time but can give an hour a week or so can do that. That kind of stuff is really helpful to us. But if you have a skill, people don't even realize that the things that they do every day at work are things that are super helpful to us.
mm,
We maintain our own website. If someone can do that, that would be fantastic. We do our own email communication and newsletters. Someone can do that for us. We do our own childcare, like I said, in house. People can volunteer to do that. Some things require more background check and
of
more
course.
training.
Yeah.
Some things you can just pretty much show up, do a quick orientation, and get started. But almost anything you can think of, we need help doing it. Like I said, teaching those classes. If you can teach people how you set up your bank account, those are things that people need help with. So things that you do just in everyday life are things that we can use at Bethany House.
Excellent. So it sounds like any gift from the community in a lot of ways is appreciated and needed for your clients.
Absolutely. We
That's
do life building. So
yeah.
if you live a life, you can contribute.
That's great. I love
It's pretty simple.
that. So, and it should be noted that in Fairfax, this is a pretty wealthy part of the country, right? And so, hopefully, there's some folks listening that have some additional means. Is there some other like bigger gifts or some other things that you all are in need of, or that would be great to have as you continue to look towards the future and the work that you're doing in the hopefully not too distant future, but kind of a couple years out?
Absolutely, absolutely. We accept houses and cars, and I mean that. We had a woman in 2022 leave us her home when she passed away with planned giving, and we're now converting that home into an additional safe house
Hmm.
that should be ready to go in January. And we have a company that we work with called Cars. If you donate to Cars, they sell that car, convert it to cash for our organization, for us. You get the tax write off. And then just bigger gifts help us to do the things that we do. We run on about an $800,000 budget a year. We're housing dominant organization in Fairfax County. Everyone knows how much it costs to live in Fairfax County.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 11 people, and you know what it costs for us to run what we run.
Yeah.
So any gifts that you can help us with are super appreciated, especially the larger gifts. As I said before, we are a Jesus-based organization. We will steward your funds well. We are big on stewardship. We steward everything well. We reuse things. We recycle things. We don't waste, and we make sure that we stretch everything and make sure that it works well.
That's great. Fantastic. And then, if what is like the entry way to get involved or to make a donation? Is that through their website? Is there like a form to fill out? Like, how could anybody listening start being engaged with the Bethany House?
Absolutely. If you go to our website, bhnv.org, that's Bethany House, Northern Virginia, bhnv.org, there is a contact form on that page. If you fill out the contact form and say you want to volunteer, we'll get right back to you and find out how you want to volunteer. We'll get you set up with our volunteer orientation. And if you need that level 2 orientation where you need to work with clients and you need to do the background check and go into a little further training, we'll make sure that you get that. You can go to bhnv.org, hit that donate button. You can find all the ways to give as well, from monetary donations to our Amazon wish list to monthly giving. That's all there as well. So we try to make it as easy for you as possible. You can find all of our events on that page as well. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we have a ton of events coming up in the fall that people can volunteer for, they can come out to and learn more about what we do and get involved that way as well. So we have a lot of ways that people can join us.
Great. And that calendar of events that's coming for the fall, that's also on the website.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. On our events page.
Awesome. Tiffany, you are so extraordinary and you are doing such amazing work. Thank you. Is
Thank
there
you.
other things that we didn't talk about, or if things that you feel like the community should know for the greater good, either for the community or for the Bethany House, since there's such a dynamic, close relationship between the two?
I just want to say that I feel like everybody can contribute something. I think we go through our daily lives and we can get busy and we can get caught up in the things, the stuff of life. And if I can convey anything, is to just take a moment and think of one more thing that you can do, even small things. I know that people feel like those smaller things don't make a difference. But what actually got me into Bethany House and kept me here, I started as a volunteer myself. I started as a volunteer in 2013. And so I've been here that long. I volunteered for 7.5 years before taking this position in leadership at Bethany House. And at an event for Bethany House, I heard a client speaker and she talked about a bottle of shampoo. And every client, we still do this, when they come into Bethany House, they get a welcome basket on their bed. And in that welcome basket, she talked about how her brand of shampoo was in that welcome basket. She opened that shampoo, she sniffed it, and she felt safe. She felt like it was normal and things were going to be okay. And she said at that event, don't ever underestimate the power of donating even a bottle of shampoo. It makes all the difference. And that stuck with me all those years. Fast forward to 2024, that same client is now one of our board members. And she didn't even remember saying that. She is a school teacher. She invited me to speak at one of her classroom events. I told her that story. She didn't remember it, but I said, it was your story that kept me at Bethany House all these years. And now she's back involved. She's doing fantastic things. She's a missionary. She travels around the world doing God's work. She teaches, she's contributing, all because she was able to rebuild her life at Bethany House. And now she's coming back and pouring back into Bethany House. And so little things like a bottle of shampoo make a difference. And so I just really beg, employ, ask people to not underestimate how just taking one extra step in your day to do something kind, to do something loving, to consider someone else can have that kind of ripple effect for years and years down the road. So don't ever underestimate the power of taking one more step to do something for someone else.
That is really well said. Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing that and for sharing your time and for being an amazing leader in our community and for all the work that you oversee at the Bethany House. We, as a community and as community members, are grateful for you, for the work that you do, the care that you provide to your clients. From all of us, thank you so, so much for everything.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Let's talk again.
let's do that.